The objective of the labor inspection is to further strengthen the implementation of the visitorial and enforcement powers under the Labor Code as renumbered towards securing a higher level of compliance with labor laws and standards and ensuring continuity and sustainability of compliance at workplaces. For this purpose, the Department of Labor and Employment delegates this function to the regional offices with the issuance of a list of labor inspectors who are given the authority of conduct inspection, which covers all private establishments, including their branches and workplaces in the regions.
The regional offices enforce labor laws and social legislation through the conduct of labor inspection, occupational safety and health investigation, and technical and advisory visit. Special inspections may be conducted as may be deemed necessary.
With the provision for mobile devices and gadgets, the DOLE developed an inspection management information system. An important feature of the system is data capture and transmittal from the field in real time, as an electronic checklist is filled up through the use of mobile devices and gadgets. Data are instantly available for viewing and processing to generate reports, statistics, and summons, including real-time monitoring of decent work indicators based on the country's decent work profile. The TAV, or Technical and Advisory Visit, aims to provide assistance to the micro-establishments, or establishments that have 1 to 9 employees, to be sustainable, productive, and competitive. It also aims to transition our micro-establishments to the formal economy that is profitable, while also complying with our labor laws and occupational safety and health standards. There are different ways or modalities to avail TAV. First is the online method. Establishments can enroll in the self-paced technical and advisory modules through our learning management system. For establishments that opted to go with online, they must accomplish the modules within 1 month from the time they registered. Second is on-site. The DOLE regional, field, and provincial offices conduct on-site or face-to-face orientation for the technical and advisory services, wherein micro-establishments are invited to attend. Third is hybrid setup. Establishments can enroll in on-site sessions and attend virtual meetings or webinars using various online platforms like MS Teams, Viber, Skype, Zoom, or Google Meet. The establishment report system was created to streamline the documents and reports required from establishments in the private sector. Several administrative requirements will be submitted through this site as a central platform. Through this system, employers no longer need to physically submit establishment reports to DOLE, since reportorial requirements can be completed remotely through the ERS.
There are various types of report that can be submitted through the establishment report system. These are telecommuting report, job displacement report, flexible work arrangement, 13th month pay compliance report, and employer's work accident or illness report.
The establishment report system ensured the safety of employees of Dole and its clients by minimizing the risk of contracting the COVID-19, since the need for physical contact has been removed in this process. The objective of the labor inspection is to further strengthen the implementation of the visitorial and enforcement powers under the Labor Code as renumbered towards securing a higher level of compliance with labor laws and standards and ensuring continuity and sustainability of compliance at workplaces. For this purpose, the Department of Labor and Employment delegates this function to the regional offices with the issuance of a list of labor inspectors who are given the authority of conduct inspection, which covers all private establishments, including their branches and workplaces in the regions.
The regional offices enforce labor laws and social legislation through the conduct of labor inspection, occupational safety and health investigation, and technical and advisory visit. Special inspections may be conducted as may be deemed necessary.
With the provision for mobile devices and gadgets, the DOLE developed an inspection management information system. An important feature of the system is data capture and transmittal from the field in real time, as an electronic checklist is filled up through the use of mobile devices and gadgets. Data are instantly available for viewing and processing to generate reports, statistics, and summons, including real-time monitoring of decent work indicators based on the country's decent work profile. The TAV, or Technical and Advisory Visit, aims to provide assistance to the micro-establishments, or establishments that have 1 to 9 employees, to be sustainable, productive, and competitive. It also aims to transition our micro-establishments to the formal economy that is profitable, while also complying with our labor laws and occupational safety and health standards. There are different ways or modalities to avail TAV. First is the online method. Establishments can enroll in the self-paced technical and advisory modules through our learning management system. For establishments that opted to go with online, they must accomplish the modules within 1 month from the time they registered. Second is on-site. The DOLE regional, field, and provincial offices conduct on-site or face-to-face orientation for the technical and advisory services, wherein micro-establishments are invited to attend. Third is hybrid setup. Establishments can enroll in on-site sessions and attend virtual meetings or webinars using various online platforms like MS Teams, Viber, Skype, Zoom, or Google Meet. The establishment report system was created to streamline the documents and reports required from establishments in the private sector. Several administrative requirements will be submitted through this site as a central platform. Through this system, employers no longer need to physically submit establishment reports to DOLE, since reportorial requirements can be completed remotely through the ERS.
There are various types of report that can be submitted through the establishment report system. These are telecommuting report, job displacement report, flexible work arrangement, 13th month pay compliance report, and employer's work accident or illness report.
The establishment report system ensured the safety of employees of Dole and its clients by minimizing the risk of contracting the COVID-19, since the need for physical contact has been removed in this process. The objective of the labor inspection is to further strengthen the implementation of the visitorial and enforcement powers under the Labor Code as renumbered towards securing a higher level of compliance with labor laws and standards and ensuring continuity and sustainability of compliance at workplaces. For this purpose, the Department of Labor and Employment delegates this function to the regional offices with the issuance of a list of labor inspectors who are given the authority of conduct inspection, which covers all private establishments, including their branches and workplaces in the regions.
The regional offices enforce labor laws and social legislation through the conduct of labor inspection, occupational safety and health investigation, and technical and advisory visit. Special inspections may be conducted as may be deemed necessary.
With the provision for mobile devices and gadgets, the DOLE developed an inspection management information system. An important feature of the system is data capture and transmittal from the field in real time, as an electronic checklist is filled up through the use of mobile devices and gadgets. Data are instantly available for viewing and processing to generate reports, statistics, and summons, including real-time monitoring of decent work indicators based on the country's decent work profile. The TAV, or Technical and Advisory Visit, aims to provide assistance to the micro-establishments, or establishments that have 1 to 9 employees, to be sustainable, productive, and competitive. It also aims to transition our micro-establishments to the formal economy that is profitable, while also complying with our labor laws and occupational safety and health standards. There are different ways or modalities to avail TAV. First is the online method. Establishments can enroll in the self-paced technical and advisory modules through our learning management system. For establishments that opted to go with online, they must accomplish the modules within 1 month from the time they registered. Second is on-site. The DOLE regional, field, and provincial offices conduct on-site or face-to-face orientation for the technical and advisory services, wherein micro-establishments are invited to attend. Third is hybrid setup. Establishments can enroll in on-site sessions and attend virtual meetings or webinars using various online platforms like MS Teams, Viber, Skype, Zoom, or Google Meet. The establishment report system was created to streamline the documents and reports required from establishments in the private sector. Several administrative requirements will be submitted through this site as a central platform. Through this system, employers no longer need to physically submit establishment reports to DOLE since reportorial requirements can be completed remotely through the ERS.
There are various types of report that can be submitted through the establishment report system. These are telecommuting report, job displacement report, flexible work arrangement, 13th month pay compliance report, and employer's work accident or illness report.
The establishment report system ensured the safety of employees of DOLE and its clients by minimizing the risk of contracting the COVID-19 since the need for physical contact has been removed in this process.
Good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon po. Maupay nga kulop ha iyo nga tanan. Welcome po to Season 2, Episode 13 of Webinar Wednesdays of the Department of Labor and Employment. Hosted by the Bureau of Working Conditions. Ako po si Aima Fibaola, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Ang episode po natin ngayon ay tatalakay sa Responsible Digital Wage Payment. Ramdam po natin sa lahat ng aspeto sa paggawa ang impluwensya ng teknolohiya, lalo na ang tinatawag na digitalization. Ano nga ba ang digital wage payment? Ano ang mga practical implications nito? Maiiwasan ba nito ang pagkaantala ng ating mga sahod? O mas mapapadali ba nito ang proseso ng pagpapasahod and in a way mas magiging cost-effective? Yan po ang mga aalamin natin sa ating session today. Pero before we begin po our webinar, let us start with a solemn prayer.
Let us bow our head and put ourselves in the holiness of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear Almighty and ever-loving God, we glorify and thank your name. You have showered us with so much blessings, and your presence continuously remind us of your faithfulness and guidance. May we humbly ask you to shower our speaker today of your greatest inspiration so that he may share the most of his knowledge, his field of expertise, and to his respective topics. May we also absorb the invaluable knowledge, experiences, and put it into practice that we may learn today. Your infinite blessing would mean the success of this webinar. May we be a living witnesses of your genuine love through the enactment of the knowledge acquired through this activity. We ask this in the name of your Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Good afternoon once again and hello po sa ating Facebook Live participants. Maraming salamat po for joining us today and may we request na i-like and heart react naman po natin ang ating episode ngayon. Please share this live stream to your Facebook account and use hashtag Webinar Wednesdays. Pwede rin po ninyong i-share ito sa inyong colleagues, friends, and families para mas marami pa po tayo na magkaroon ng bagong kaalaman. Kung meron naman po tayong mga katanungan o mga paglilinaw ukol sa paksa natin ngayon, mangyari lamang po na gamitin ang ating comment section. Ito naman po ay sasagutin ng ating resources speaker pagkatapos ng lecture. Before we proceed po, alamin po muna natin ang functions, services at programs ng Bureau of Working Conditions. Panoorin po natin ang video presentation na prepare namin para sa inyo.
The Bureau of Working Conditions is mandated to focus on performing policy and program development and performing advisory functions for the department in the administration and enforcement of laws relating to labor standards. Specifically, The BWC develops and prescribes labor standards and policies, programs, and devices relative to its administration and enforcement. It also exercises technical and functional supervision over the DOLE regional offices as they conduct administration and enforcement activities in their respective regions. The Bureau also conducts research in aid of safety standards, policy programs, measures and device development on labor standards. And lastly, the Bureau provides knowledge and information services on labor standards data, programs, and enforcement activities. There are 5 flagship programs of the Bureau, namely Labor Inspection, Technical and Advisory Visit, Policy and Program Development, Monitoring of programs such as Construction Safety and Health Program, Technical Safety Inspection. And the last flagship program is the Case Management. The Labor Inspection Program ensures that private sector establishments employing workers comply with the general labor standards, occupational safety and health standards, and other social legislations intended to safeguard the rights of workers to just and humane conditions at work. This is in line with the visitorial and enforcement power of the Secretary of Labor and Employment under Articles 128 and 129 of the Labor Code of the Philippines, and it is the flagship program of the BWC for ensuring the continuity and sustainability of compliance in all workplaces. Small, medium, and large establishments under the sector's hazardous work, employing children, construction projects, Philippine registered ships in domestic shipping, fishing vessels, contracting or subcontracting arrangements, subject of SENA referral, anonymous complaint, and request for inspection, and other establishments as may be determined by the Secretary of Labor and Employment are all covered in the Labor Inspection Program. The Technical and Advisory Visit, or the TAV program, aims to build the capacity of community-based micro-establishments towards sustainable compliance with labor standards. It seeks to facilitate easier access to government programs and services instrumental to addressing their compliance gaps, as well as to provide livelihood assistance and productivity training to further capacitate micro-establishments in improving their business operations. There are various training modules offered in TAB, namely General Labor Standards, Occupational Safety and Health Standards, Child and Family Welfare, Productivity Toolbox, and Visit Checklist and Action Plan. The Technical Safety Inspection is the inspection for the purpose of safety determination of boilers, pressure vessels, internal combustion engines, electrical installations, elevators, hoisting equipments, and other mechanical equipments. The Bureau is also responsible for the development of policies and programs. The Bureau takes the lead in the formulation and assurance of timely and relevant policies, guidelines, and advisories relating to general labor standards, occupational safety and health standards, and other social legislations that promote the rights at work, improve working conditions, and guide employers and workers in the private sector. There are other various programs that are handled by the Bureau of Working Conditions, Construction Safety and Health Program, Review and Evaluation of Technical Plans, Processing of Certificate of Appearance of PMEs and PEEs, Work Alert Reporting, Processing of Certificate of No Pending Case, Disposition of Labor Standard Appealed Cases, General Labor Standards and Occupational Safety and Health Queries and Requests for Inspection-related data, Medical Services or Assistance to DOLE personnel. And the BWC is also a member of various committees like NCACL, IACAT, LI Capacity Building Committee, Safety and Health Committee, Mental Health Program, and many more. The Bureau envisions well-guided employers and workers committed to a safe, healthful, and productive work environment, adaptive to industry trends, and developments, and equitably enjoying the gains of joint endeavors.
Ayan, sana po ay nadagdagan ang ating kaalaman sa mga programa at serbisyo ng Bureau of Working Conditions. We will now proceed with the discussion on responsible digital wage payment. Our speaker for this session is the National Officer of the Global Center on Digital Wages for Decent Work Project of the International Labor Organization, or ILO. The project promotes the adoption of responsible digital wage payments among local enterprises for the benefit of both employers and their workers. He has worked in the field of international development assistance and public affairs, including in the areas of MSME development, competitiveness, and innovation. With an academic background in political economy and public policy, he is experienced in working with stakeholders from the public and private sectors towards the achievement of the country's development, ambitions, and goals. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Richard Umali. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Aima. Thank you for the invitation to speak in your webinar Wednesdays. Richard Umali po mula sa International Labor Organization Country Office here in Manila. Again, thank you for inviting us to speak and discuss this important topic on responsible digital wage payments. Magandang hapon po sa mga nanonood sa Facebook, sa ibang probinsya sa Pilipinas, at sana po ay may matutunan po kayo sa ating discussion ngayong araw. If I can just share my screen to begin the presentation. Yeah, promoting responsible digital wage payments in the Philippines. So bago po tayo magsimula talaga, gusto ko lang po kayong bigyan ng background tungkol sa Global Center on Digital Wages for Decent Work. It is a center established within the International Labor Organization whose objective is to accelerate the transition to responsible digital wage payments. I'm sure marami po sa inyo na alam na ngayon po ay panahon na ng digitalisasyon, and many are really transitioning to doing their business digitally. So our project focuses on that aspect of business operations that relate to payroll and payment of wages through digital channels. So we want to accelerate the transition and ensure that it is done in a responsible manner. Our objective is to empower workers and broaden their financial inclusion. Kumbaga po, gusto po natin maging kabilang at bahagi ng financial system ng Pilipinas ang lahat ng mga enterprises at workers. We also wish to enhance the sustainability of enterprises. Digitalization will ensure that businesses remain competitive in today's economy. And thirdly, to improve and respect workers' rights. Ang aming pong proyekto ay ginagawa sa 6 na bansa sa buong mundo, sa Cambodia, Indonesia, Philippines, Kenya, Mexico, and Peru. And our long-term vision is to expand this project in other countries and different types of workers in the world. Now, before we talk about digital wage payments, I would like to put in context because digital wage payments is just one form of digital payments. So, kumbaga po, marami talagang paraan ng pagbabayad na digital, pero ang digital wage payment ay isa lang dito. So this is from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Status of Digital Payments Report. The latest came out in 2022. This shows to you the different types of digital payments. So kumbaga po, sa payer side, pwede ang nagbabayad ay gobyerno, negosyo, o individual, government, business, and persons. At yung mga binabayaran ay pwede rin gobyerno, businesses, or persons. So meron po tayong tinatawag na G2G or government to government. So kabilang po dyan yung mga transfers ng gobyerno from the national government, let's say to LGUs, social welfare contributions that are coursed through the different agencies, and procurement for common use items. Pwede rin po itong G2B or government to business. So halimbawa po, meron pong binabayaran ng gobyerno sa mga contractor o mga nananalo ng bid, so procurement and supplier payments, and of course also utilities if government make use of utilities that are owned by private businesses. And then there are also what you call government to persons. Ito naman po halimbawa ang nagbibigay ng ayuda or pagtulong ang gobyerno at syempre yung mga pasweldo nila sa mga kawani ng gobyerno. Meron naman po tayong B2G or business to government. So halimbawa yung pong national taxes and fees, nagbabayad po ang mga negosyo syempre ng buwis sa gobyerno, and yung mga kontribusyon ng mga negosyo sa ating social welfare. Sa gobyerno po rin yan pumupunta. And then meron din tayong B2B o yung mga business to business payments. So yung mga negosyo, syempre meron din silang mga supplier na negosyo din. So yung mga supplier payments, business lending, and including interest payments as well. At pang-anim, meron din po tayong B2G or business to person. So kasama po dyan yung, syempre, ito yung topic natin ngayon, yung mga salaries and payroll, mga sweldo sa mga empleyado. Kabilang din dyan, syempre, yung mga social welfare contribution sa SSS, Pag-ibig at PhilHealth. And yung consumer lending sa mga negosyo para sa mga kawani nila. At meron din naman tayo mga P2G or persons to government. So syempre, nagbabayad tayo ng buwis sa gobyerno at digital na rin yan through the BIR, government fees for services, and social welfare contribution. Syempre, yung iba, mga voluntary contributors. So pwede rin na po yan gawin digitally. And then person to business. Ngayon po, sanay na sanay tayo sa pagbabayad, halimbawa through QR, through e-commerce. So dyan po yung pumapatak, merchant payments, pagbabayad ng ating kuryente, tubig, utility payments, and interests and loans. And lastly, meron din tayong mga P2P or person to person. So halimbawa, nagpapadala tayo ng pera, remittances, and nagpapahiram through P2P lending. Yung mga figures po nakikita natin dito, ayan po again ay mula sa Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Ang gusto ko lang pong i-highlight dyan as makikita nyo naman po na ang pinakamalaking porsyento ng digital payments natin ngayon ay done through P2B or person to businesses because of the prevalence or yung lalo na nung pandemic, yung pagbibili po through digital channels, e-commerce. So 60% po ng digital payments natin ay through P2B. Pero ang topic po natin ngayon ay yun nga po, yung B2P, yung basically pagbabayad ng buwis o pasweldo ng mga negosyo sa mga tao. Digital payments can be done through different means. Halimbawa po, electronic fund transfer. So normally, yan po yung mga remittance. Meron naman, as I'm sure marami po sa inyo alam na ito, online banking. Ngayon po, sanay na sanay tayong gumamit ng mga apps ng mga bangko natin at doon po tayo nagbabayad halimbawa ng mga kuryente, utilities, and so on. Meron naman pong mga digital wallets din. Ito naman po yung parang naka-attach po yan normally sa mga banks natin, sa mga bank accounts. Pero nagagamit natin sila in real time through our cell phones. Mobile money, ito naman po ay isang klase ng digital payment. Pero hindi po siya nakatali sa bank account. Pwede po tayo mag-create niyan sa pamamagitan lang ng ating mobile number. At meron na po tayong halimbawa GCash or sa Maya o sa Shopee Pay. Yan po yung mga mobile money. And then QR code, I'm sure lahat po kayo alam na ito, yung mga quick response payment na ini-scan lang natin or ginagamit natin ang ating telepono para magbayad. And then meron pa rin namang iba na through payment cards. Sa Pilipinas po, ito po ang estado ng digital payments. Again, mula po ito sa Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Dito niyo po makikita na sa nakaraang ilang taon talagang umaabante na po ang digitalization of payments. In 2022, it has risen to 42% of total payments by volume in the country. And then account ownership has risen to 56% from 29% in 2019. Thanks to the pandemic, we have managed to increase the ownership of accounts in the country. I just wish to highlight again that digital wage payments are the third top contributors in the advancement of digital payments by volume in the country, together with merchant payments and P2P payments. Now, Punta na po tayo sa digital wage payments. As I said, digital wage payments can be done through 4 means. Una po, yung tinatawag na financial institution account. Siguro ito yung pinakakilala natin. Dahil bago pa man maging digital ang mga wage payments, meron na tayong mga account sa bangko. So ito po yung mga account with a traditional or digital bank or other financial institutions such as a financial cooperative. The second way is through a digital wallet. It is a digital tool that allows anyone to access your account in a bank and makes payments, but digitally. Again, typically you need an account to use a digital wallet. So halimbawa lang po, ang Maya, meron po din silang digital wallet. Meron din silang, ang Maya po ay digital bank din na recognized ng Bangko Sentral. So yan po ang isang halimbawa na digital wallet. Minsan naman po, yung iba po ay meron din mga bangko na meron din silang sariling mga digital wallet. Ang mobile money account, ito po ay accessible through your phone. As I said, you can typically sign up using your mobile phone number or just an ID through halimbawa, nagsiselfie kayo, nakaka-create po tayo halimbawa ng mobile money account sa GCash. And then they generally have more limited function than financial institution accounts. Yun lang po yung limitation niya. And then digital wage payments can also be paid through prepaid cards. This is normally provided by a financial institution which can be used to cash out the money stored in an ATM or a bank branch. Some payroll providers also issue a prepaid card for the disbursement of digital wage payments. And again, just to emphasize that it is important to move from cash to digital wages in a responsible manner to ensure that employers and workers benefit from it. Now, what makes digital wage payments responsible? Ano po ang kailangan, kumbaga, para sabihin na ang digital wage payments ay ginagawang responsibly? First of all, digital wage payments must respect national laws and regulations, including internationally recognized human rights, fundamental principles and rights at work, and relevant international labor standards. So sa Pilipinas po, alam naman po natin na ang batas dito ay ang ating Labor Code of the Philippines. And in the International Labor Organization, meron po tayong Convention on the Protection of Wages, issued as early as 1949 and was ratified by the Philippine government in 1953. Secondly, digital wage payments are responsible when they respect what we call as the UN Principles on Responsible Digital Wage Payments, as well as relevant principles, guidelines, and good practices concerning digital financial inclusion and financial consumer protection. So recently po, naglabas po ang United Nations, and the ILO is an agency of the United Nations, on principles for responsible digital payment. This is more broadly applying to all types of digital payments, but of course, it also applies to the payment of wages digitally. So just to go quickly over this legislation or laws. So again, as I mentioned, ang Labor Code po, which we celebrated the 50th anniversary recently, yan po ang ating kumbaga Biblia sa tamang pagbabayad ng buwis. Ng sweldo. Alam naman po natin na mayroon po ng mga definition na halimbawa nagbabayad tayo ng sweldo using legal tender. Meron po yan in terms of the time by which you need to pay wages, yung pag-i-issue po ng payslip. Siyempre, dapat tama itong kinocompute. Kasama na rin po dito yung pagbabayad or pagre-remit ng contribution sa SSS, sa Pag-ibig, sa PhilHealth. At syempre, dapat po ay meron itong record at binibigay sa tamang oras. Ang Bureau of Working Conditions po ay may handbook on workers' statutory monetary benefits. So yan po ay makakatulong para mapasimple at mapadali ang ating kaalaman at pag-unawa sa tamang pagbabayad ng buwis. At syempre, nandyan din po ang ating Wage Rationalization Act. And again, trying to qualify and clarify the correct proper and timely payment of wages. Sa UN naman po, as I mentioned, meron po tayong Principles on Responsible Digital Payments. Ito po ay siyang, una po, it should treat users fairly. So ibig sabihin lang po niyan, dapat po ay pantay-pantay ang pagtingin sa mga gumagamit ng digital payments or mga nag-a-avail ng services, halimbawa sa mga bangko. Mahirap ka or mayaman or kung ano man ang estado mo sa buhay, dapat po ay tinatrato ka ng tama at patas sa iyong pag-avail ng financial services. Secondly, to ensure funds are protected and accessible, syempre, an important consideration po in doing digital payments ay security and protection of your money, even if it's done through digital channels. And then thirdly, it has to prioritize women because women, especially also in the Philippines, have other needs that must be addressed in order for them to take advantage of the benefits of digital payments. Fourth, this is related to the second one, is the safety of client data. So as you know, tayo rin po sa Pilipinas, meron po tayong data privacy law. We have to make sure that digital transactions, including digital payments, are protected and our data are safe and secure. Fifth is that digital payments are designed for individuals. So ibig sabihin, dapat ito ay madaling magamit, maintindihan, hindi po komplikado para mas ma-benefit po natin ang digital payments. Six, there should be transparency and particularly on the pricing, let's say, of the fees, of the costs of using the services of digital payment providers, so that everything is clear from the onset. O klaro po sa atin ano po ba yung babayaran natin at kung magkano ito at para saan. Seventh, pangpito, meron po tayong provide user choice through interoperability. Alam naman po natin na marami po at iba-iba ang ating mga financial service provider. May bangko, merong mga startup, meron pong iba-ibang klase, meron mga bank, digital banks, mobile money accounts. So dapat lahat po ito ay nag-uusap-usap. Diyan nyo po malalaman at maintindihan kung bakit ngayon po salamat sa Bangko Sentral na meron po tayong QRPH Plus na isa na lang ang QR na pwedeng gamitin sa lahat ng establishment para magbayad through quick response codes. And eighth is make recourse clear, quick, and responsive. Ibig sabihin lang po nito na pag may mga issue tayo o may mga problema o hinaing sa mga financial service provider, dapat merong mekanismo para ito ay ma-actionan at dapat itong mekanismo na ito ay malinaw, mabilis at totoo namang responsive sa ating mga reklamo halimbawa or problema pag gumagamit tayo ng digital payments. At pangsyam, it should champion value chain accountability. Yan po ay lalo nang applicable sa mga enterprises kasi yung ibang mga halimbawa mga sinusuplayan nila ng kanilang mga produkto, yung iba po lalo na abroad, nanghihingi po sila ng mga patunay na tama ang papasweldo halimbawa sa ating mga empleyado at nirerespeto nga yung mga kanilang mga karapatan at mga similar concerns. Now, sa amin po sa ILO, and particularly in our project, we'd like to emphasize 5 important features that make digital wage payments responsible. Una po, ang tinatawag nating choice. Workers have choice on the digital means of wage payment, the financial service provider, and the financial products and services. So mahalaga po na ang mga manggagawa, ang ating mga empleyado ng mga negosyo ay merong pong choice para po matanggap ang kanilang wages digitally. So halimbawa, meron na silang bank account, as much as possible, sana ay maaari itong gamitin para doon na lang halimbawa i-deposito ng employer ang kanilang sweldo. So importante po yan kasi marami po ngayon kailangan pang halimbawa mag-open ng bagong account. Siyempre, ang bago na mga requirements yun at maaaring magtagal, ganyan po. So as much as possible, meron silang choice and the employer can accommodate this choice. Second is accessibility and security. Digital wage payments are done in full and in an adequate and timely manner. Financial services are adequate to the needs and means of employers and workers. Employers and workers are protected from fraud, misuse, and insolvency. Alam naman po natin ngayon na ang isa sa mga malaking risk or challenge natin sa digital payments ay yung mga scam, yung mga phishing, yung mga panloloko. So it is important that when we do digital wage payments in our businesses, we keep in mind the protections are in place, that these systems are secure, most importantly, that the system that we are employing is actually suited to the needs of the enterprise and the workers, because I'm sure iba-iba po ang ating mga negosyo, yung iba malaki, yung iba maliit, iba-iba po ang operation, yung iba may mga manggagawa sa malalayong lugar. So dapat po yung ating serbisyo na financial or yung financial service provider ay angkop sa ating pangangailangan. At syempre, dapat ito, pag nagpasweldo tayo, ay madali siyang ma-access ng ating mga pinapasweldo. Sa halimbawa, merong mga ATM sa lugar na yon, or merong mga cash agents available. And of course, halimbawa, kung digital yan, halimbawa through mobile money, ay may connectivity na maayos kung saan man sila makakatanggap ng kanilang sweldo. Thirdly, transparency and privacy. Information for workers on their wages is appropriate and easy to understand. Information for employers and workers on financial services is complete, accurate, and non-deceptive. And employers and workers' data and privacy are protected. As I earlier pointed out, mahalaga po na ang mga impormasyon ng ating mga manggagawa, at including our employers, from the point of view of the business, is protected, kept private. That it, of course, tayong payslip, madali po itong maintindihan. Klaro ang mga nakalagay na halimbawa mga deductions because of contributions, at ito po ay malinaw at madaling maunawaan. Fourth is fair opportunity and treatment. Workers are treated with equality and have the same opportunities. There's access and treatment of employers and workers as financial consumers is equal, and dispute prevention and resolution systems are effective. Again, mahalaga po na kahit contractual yan or full employee or regular employee, dapat po tama po ang pare-pareho lang ang treatment sa kanila sa pagpapasweldo. In terms of digital payments, of course, magkaiba po yan ng rate halimbawa, pero tama po dapat at pareho lang ang kanilang treatment. Meron din silang payslip, syempre, at again, meron po tayong mekanismo halimbawa kung may mga kulang sa kalinawan or disputes sa pagpapasweldo. And then fifth, para po sa amin, mahalaga rin po natin tignan ang mga enabling conditions. Ito po ay may kinalaman sa mga policy, legal, regulatory, and supervisory environment. It has to be conducive and actors rely on social dialogue. That again, infrastructure is available and ready to use. So that refers to our connectivity, especially in the country, the network of banks, ATMs, and enterprises and workers have the necessary capacities for digital payments. So importante po syempre na yung mga negosyo at yung mga manggagawa ay may kaalaman para po mag-transition to digital wage payments. At sila po ay ating tinutulungan. Globally po, there is growing evidence that digital wage payments bring benefits to women and men workers, to enterprises, and to governments. Ito po makikita niyo po dito ang iba-ibang mga pag-aaral na ginawa na po ng International Labour Organization sa iba-ibang bansa, kabilang na po ang Pilipinas, na naipakita na talaga namang may benepisyo pag dinigitize natin ang ating papasweldo in a responsible manner. Among the benefits, halimbawa po sa mga enterprises, syempre mas mabilis na ito. Ang mga maaaring ginagawa natin ng ilang oras o ilang araw para mag-compute ng sweldo ay pwede nang gawin halimbawa in less than 1 hour or even 30 minutes pag dinigitize na po ito. Of course, there is transparency and accuracy of payments kasi digitize na nga siya. So may iwasan na yung mga mali-mali. Halimbawa, pag sinusulat mo, hindi mo maintindihan yung mga naka-record dahil handwritten. Mababawasan na po yan. Greater compliance with legislation. As you know, as I mentioned earlier during the videos, meron po tayo mga policy na kailangan sundin sa pagpapasweldo, sa mas mapapadali po ito pag dinigitize natin ang ating wage payments. And then there is also better access to services and export markets, particularly doon po sa mga nakalink po sa mga kumpanya na overseas in their value chain. For financial service providers, syempre mas mapapadami ang kanilang mga market or ang kanilang mga kliyente para po sa kanilang mga serbisyo. And then sa mga women and men workers, as I mentioned, it broadens their financial inclusion. Kasi alam niyo naman po, pag tayo po ay nagtatransact, nagkikreate po yan ng history ng ating financial behavior. Kailangan po yan ng mga bangko, halimbawa para makita kung kayo po ay creditworthy o pwedeng pautangin. Yan po ay makakatulong pag dinigitize natin ang ating wage payments. So, timeliness, syempre mapapabilis niyan, safe and fast. It facilitates management of income. Yung iba po, syempre pag digital, may iwasan na nating gamitin kaysa halimbawa may dala tayong cash, pag sweldo, may iwasan na natin yan. And then it promotes savings and access to other formal financial services. As I mentioned, makakatulong po ito para makita ng bangko ang inyong financial behavior, better control over their wages and greater economic opportunities and resilience. Digital wage payments also contribute to government policies. Alam naman po natin na ngayon po ang ating gobyerno, malaki ang focus sa digitalization, particularly sa ating mga micro, small, and medium enterprises. So ito pong pag-digitize ng wage payments, ito po ay doon sa aspeto ng business operations. Siyempre, bago kayo makapagbenta or kahit nagbebenta na kayo digitally, maganda rin po na iyong business operations ay digitized para mas maging efficient, productive ang inyong mga negosyo. Our government also pursues financial inclusion for the entire country. So digitizing wages can help in this objective. The promotion of digital and financial literacy o yung mga kaalamang pang-pinansyal at digital, mahalaga po yan. Ito po ay makakatulong sa itong goal ng ating gobyerno. Formalization, gusto po natin syempre ng ating mga negosyo ay maging bahagi ng formal economy as much as possible. And of course, our government's emphasis on upholding workers' rights. It's important also, and this project on digital wage payments is contributing towards that objective. Now, linawin ko lang po bago po ako magpatuloy na ang digital wage payments po bale ay may dalawang kumbaga elemento po yan yung pagdi-digitize ng payroll at yung pagdi-digitize ng salary disbursement. Of course, the most efficient is both are digital, pero syempre as I mentioned earlier, iba-iba po kasi yung kondisyon o sitwasyon ng mga negosyo. Yung iba, halimbawa, meron kami nakita na digitize na yung pagpapasweldo pero manual pa yung pagpe-payroll. Yung iba naman digitize nga yung pagpe-payroll pero manual pa yung pagpapasweldo. Yung ibang digitized payroll, yung iba mas sophisticated, meron talaga silang binabayarang service provider to do it. Pero hiwalay yung salary disbursement sa ibang financial provider. So maaring iba-iba po yung modality kumbaga o kombinasyon ng payroll processing at salary disbursement. And again, kanya-kanya po kasi yan depende sa negosyo, sa size ninyo, at sa inyong mga, syempre, kakayanan para mag-digitize. Now, again, just to summarize why responsible digital wage payments, the growing evidence on its benefits for micro, small, and medium enterprises, cost and time savings, so mas mabilis, proper payment, so tama po ang pagbabayad at malinaw siya, compliance with regulations, security of funds, and access to services and market. For workers, accuracy, syempre mahalaga na alam ng manggagawa na tama ang kanilang sinisweldo. Timeliness, safety, facilitates management of income and access to other financial services and products. For government, we have our government's digitalization agenda, objectives towards digital and financial literacy, formalization, workers' rights, and financial inclusion. And for financial institutions and service providers, an increase in their market base. Now, responsible digital wage payments also support Philippine plans, policies, and strategies. In the Philippine Development Plan, digitalization is an important element, so that supports our digitalization agenda. Meron din po tayong tinatawag na National Strategy for Financial Inclusion. Marami pong ahensya ng gobyerno yan, ang BSP po ang secretariat. Meron din po tayo syempre yung MSME agenda, and that is led by the Department of Trade and Industry. And then meron din tayo sa Department of Labor and Employment, nagbigay po ng Labor Advisory 26 ng 2020 during the pandemic, encouraging enterprises to pay workers through transaction accounts, including digital accounts. And then in our financial inclusion survey, this was the last one. I think lalabas na po yung pinaka-latest soon. in-identify lang po ang wage and salary recipients as target strategic sectors to boost account penetration in the country. That's why we're doing this project, because we also want to support this kind of emphasis or target by our government. And then in the latest 2022 status of digital payments, the digital payment of salaries and wages is, again, the third top contributor in the continuing rise in digital payments usage in the country. So makikita nyo po dito na itong responsible digital wage payments ay aligned at supportive of our country's Philippine plans, policies, and strategies. Now, what are the challenges? Bakit po hindi nagdi-digitize yung iba or nahihirapan or yung iba pa nga nag-revert back to manual? First, may lack of buy-in among enterprises. There are also lack of resources and know-how. There is still also a perception that it is inconvenient, na mahirap po ito and risky for their workers. There's still a preference for cash wages, and as many of us perhaps know, informal pa po ang maraming mga negosyo sa Pilipinas. There's a reliance on casual or outsourced workers. Smaller enterprises are more likely to pay cash wages, and there are gaps in the policy and regulatory frameworks. For women and men workers, kulang pa po ang account ownership. Marami pa po ang halimbawa mga walang account. And there's a prevalence, again, culture of cash in the Philippines. It's inconvenient. Yung iba, sa tingin nila, mas inconvenient siya dahil sanay sila sa mga paghawak ng pera or pagpunta sa bangko. It can also be costly for vulnerable workers. The fear of deductions because of the transaction fees and transfer fees, mistrust of financial institutions, and limited financial and digital literacy. In terms of the financial ecosystem, limited infrastructure, especially in remote areas, and products and services, the low appetite to serve low-income workers, and possible gaps, again, in the regulatory frameworks. Again, just to summarize, kumbaga masisimplify po natin ito sa pamamagitan ng tatlong bagay. Una po, again, yung may kinalaman sa information. Digital and financial literacy is limited in the Philippines. That's why there's a big push to keep doing this in different ways. Some require more than others. Ang Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas po ay marami pong ginagawang financial literacy, digital and financial literacy programs. Another type of information challenge is with regard to micro and small enterprises who do not know or have limited awareness or misperceptions of the options available for them to adopt digital wage payments. Yung iba po kasi sa tingin natin ay alam natin tungkol sa mga bangko or yung mga bank account, types of bank accounts, or kahit sa mga startup providers, minsan po ay hindi siya accurate or minsan po ay kulang. So, mahalaga po na itong mga misperceptions na ito ay ating malinawan. Of course, pwede rin naman po tama po ang ating alam, pero meron din po kasing iba-ibang mga financial service providers out there na kaya mahalaga na tayo po ay mag-research, mag-assess sa mga options kung ano ba ang pwede sa atin. Kasi hindi naman kailangan, halimbawa, maliit ka lang ng kumpanya or enterprise, yung mga malalaking bangko ang inyong consider na option to digitize your wage payments. Kasi meron din namang mga different options or smaller options that may be more appropriate for you, but will help you digitize your wage payments. Our second set of challenge is may kinalaman po sa infrastructure. In terms of hard infrastructure, limited or unstable digital connectivity na experience po natin panaka-naka. Insufficient network of banks, ATMs, or cash out agents, especially sa mga probinsya po, sa mga rural areas, and yung interoperability ng ating mga financial service providers and services. So dapat po ay pwede silang mag-transact digitally, kaya mahalaga po ang interoperability. In terms of the soft infrastructure, yung pong mga gaps in our policy or regulatory framework, kasi po halimbawa sa ibang bansa nakita namin na sa kanila pong mga labor laws, pinapayagan po ang mga workers na pumili or sabihin sa kanilang mga employer na ito po ang bank account or account ko na gusto kong makatanggap ng sweldo. So yun po ay nire-respeto sa kanilang batas. Sa ngayon po, meron pong proposal ganyan sa Kongreso. So yun po ang estado ng ganong klaseng polisiya. Meron din po tayong kakulangan sa mga bangko in terms of their appetite to serve low-income workers. Pero meron naman po mga bangko, salamat po sa Bangko Sentral na nag-offer ng ang tinatawag po natin basic deposit accounts. Yun po yung mga klase ng account na wala masyadong requirement. Pwede niyo po siyang buksan with less than 100 peso, wala rin pong maintaining balance, at wala rin siyang dormancy fees para magkaroon po kayo ng bank account sa mga bangko. So iba-iba po ang tawag niyan, depende sa bangko. Pero ang generic term po dyan ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas ay ang tinatawag na basic deposit account. Ang pangatlo po nating challenge ay yung mga kinalaman sa inability o yung mga kakulangan sa kakayanan. So una po, halimbawa, yung sinabi ko na kanina, yung digitizing payroll, hindi po alam ng mga ibang enterprise kung paano ba ito tamang gawin, yung pag-transition, at syempre mahalaga din na yung pag-engage sa workers. So yung po kasi hindi alam paano mag-engage sa mga workers or sa mga financial service providers or nahihirapan. Inability in terms of cost, sa kasamaang palad, syempre meron pong mga cost na mataas yung ibang mga bangko for opening and maintaining a payroll account, lack of account ownership of workers, and the transaction withdrawal, transfer, or cash out fees. Syempre, alam naman po natin na kailangan talaga may mga fees, pero meron din kasing siguro mga paraan para ito ay mapababa or even malimita or matanggal kung kailangan at maaari. And then a third set of inabilities is with regard po dun sa tinatawag na confidence or yung kumpiyansa para gamitin ang mga digital payment channels. Lalo na dahil sa karamihan ng scam, phishing, or fraud, yung mga panloloko or sa mga text, di ba po? Informality and a culture of cash for many of our enterprises and our workers, and the lack of digital and financial literacy. So ito po yung mga challenges: information, infrastructure, and inabilities. Now, ang aming proyekto sa International Labor Organization, para lang po ma-share ko po sa inyo at siguro po kung kaya ninyo ay makapag-participate kayo sa mga activities. Ang kapartner po namin ngayon sa aming pag-roll out ng aming training ay ang Employers Confederation of the Philippines. Siguro naman po kilala niyo po ito or baka iba po sa inyo ay miyembro ng ECOP. Sila po ang pinakamalaking asosasyon ng mga employer sa Pilipinas. And then syempre ang aming pong mga gobyerno ng ahensya na sumusuporta sa aming proyekto. Unang-una na po ang Department of Labor and Employment. We closely work with our host today, the Bureau of Working Conditions. And then we also work with the Bureau of Labor Relations. And we are also in touch with the National Wages and Productivity Commission. Sa Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas naman po, syempre po, ang kausap po namin dyan ay ang Financial Inclusion Office, ang Economic, Financial, and Financial Learning Office, at ang Payments Policy and Development Department. At sa Department of Trade and Industry naman po, ang Bureau of Small and Medium Enterprise Development. At syempre, sa bahagi ng ating mga manggagawa, kami rin po ay nakikipag-ugnayan sa Trade Union Congress of the Philippines. Noong nakaraang taon po, meron po kaming mga ginawang mga webinars para po unang-una ay to raise the profile of responsible digital wage payments in the country. Para po magkaroon po tayo ng awareness, kumbaga. So meron po kaming series of webinars noong September, October last year. Una po ay nag-focus kami sa SME digital transformation through digital wages. Second is to advance financial inclusion. And thirdly, to promote workers' empowerment. Ang nakikita nyo po dyan ay yung pong aming mga speakers from BSP, DTI, ILO, DOLE, syempre, from the Better Than Cash Alliance. We also had a representative from the Fintech Alliance and RCBC, and of course from TUCP, and of course also my colleagues from Geneva and our partners here from ECOP. Kami rin po ay merong mga ginagawang mga technical meetings and policy dialogue with our partners in government, workers, and employer sector. Ilan po dyan, makikita niyo po, nagpunta dito po sa Pilipinas ang mga taga Geneva po na colleagues ko po from the ILO to talk about how we can further promote digital wage payments in the country, looking at the enabling conditions, the challenges, and the concerns of our enterprises. Meron din po kaming ginawang training of trainers. We first run this with trainers from ECO, from our employer sector, but we are also going to do this with our worker sector so that they can also cascade this to our different workers groups and organizations in the country. Ang amin pong major activity ay ito pong tinatawag naming training on responsible wage digitization for small enterprise in the Philippines. Basically, ito pong training na ito ay tumutulong sa ating mga micro and small enterprises to guide them on how to transition from cash to digital wages or to help them review their implementation or adoption of digital wages and whether they're doing it responsibly and what they can improve on it. As you can see here, meron po tayong mga objectives. Una po is to understand how digital wage payments fit in the overall digital transformation of small enterprises and the advantages of doing so. Understand how responsible digital wage payments contribute to sustainable enterprises and workers' well-being, and identify key benefits and challenges for enterprises and workers in their country context. Be equipped to plan and carry out the digitization of wage payments responsibly. Be able to take practical steps to establish a payroll system, understand the basic requirements for issuing payslips and registering employees, understand how to engage effectively with financial or payroll service providers to identify digital wage payment solutions and other financial services that are adapted to their needs. And lastly, to be able to support their women and men workers throughout the transition to digital wages. So ito pong training ito ay designed para po sa mga enterprises. Yun po ang ating tinetrain ngayon sa pamamagitan ng itong training na ito. Pero kami rin po ay nagde-develop ngayon ng capacity building para naman po sa mga workers. Ito pong aming training for small enterprises has 6 sessions. Just to give you a quick run-through. Ito pong training namin ay isang buong araw divided into 6 sessions, delivered through a mix of lectures, exercises, case studies, and group activities. The first session talks about the importance of paying wages digitally. The second session focuses on preparing for responsible wage digitization, assessment of its benefits and risks for the enterprise, digitizing the payroll system correctly, of course, and properly. Session 4 talks about how to select and work with financial service providers. Session 5 is on supporting workers through the transition. And lastly, some action planning so that they can move forward with transitioning to digital wage payments. So ito po ay ginagawa namin sa iba-ibang bahagi ng bansa. At ang mga nagpa-participate naman dito or pwede mag-participate ay ang mga micro and small enterprises kahit saan pong klase ng linya ng negosyo o trabaho. Ito lang po ay isa sa mga or dalawa sa mga aming nagawa na, isa po sa Pangasinan, meron din po kaming ginawa sa Cebu, meron din po kaming ginawa sa Davao at sa Bacoor, at meron din kaming mga upcoming sessions for capacity building training in the coming months. Now, gusto ko lang pong i-emphasize yung pong element ng aming training on supporting workers through the transition. Uno po, mahalaga po na ang ating mga manggagawa at mga empleyado na tulungan po sila in terms of accessing their wages. So syempre, kailangan pag nakuha nila yung sweldo nila, paano nila ito matatanggap at magagamit. So it's important to provide a detailed explanation of how workers will be able to access their pay. Kasi po, iba-iba po yan. Halimbawa, yung mga nasa probinsya, baka kailangan nilang pumunta sa isang cash out agent para doon nila i-withdraw, although binayad siya digitally from Manila. So diyan po yan ipinapaliwanag. Share with workers the physical and digital points of contact for the FSP. Share complaint and troubleshooting mechanisms with workers. Meet with women and men workers after the first digital wage payment to address initial challenges and concerns. Second po, tungkol po sa cost, importante rin po na to discuss with workers the fees, if any, they should expect to incur, or why these fees are in place and how to minimize them. Kasi yung iba, kailangan malaman nila, halimbawa na baka kasi iba yung bank account nila, merong mga withdrawal fee yan, or merong mga transaction fee pag tinransfer. Pero ine-emphasize po namin na ayon sa labor code, kailangan po ang sweldo ng mga manggagawa ay hindi nababawasan at natatanggap nila ng buo. So that's something that we want to ensure. We keep on telling our enterprises during the training and also when we talk to financial service providers. So we find ways how to ensure that that is observed. Thirdly, tungkol naman po sa security, kailangan, syempre, ito po ay may kinalaman sa financial and digital literacy, to discuss with workers the common scams and teach workers basic security measures around protecting their cards, online passwords, and PIN codes, to provide workers with details of who to contact immediately at the FSP in case of security concerns, lost cards, and so on. And information can be shared in posters at the workplace or through pamphlets which may be provided by a financial service provider. And fourthly, mahalaga rin po na i-emphasize sa ating mga manggagawa yung confidence and use. Kasi yung iba natatakot or sa tingin nila mahirap gamitin ang mga apps. So importante na sila rin po ay tulungan para ito po ay magamit nila ng may kumpiyansa, kumbaga. Discuss the benefits of digital wages and digital financial services with workers, including greater control over their finances. Again, help workers access financial education. Marami po yan sa Bangko Sentral. Appoint women and men financial education champions among the workers who can share experiences of financial services and good financial practices, and share details of nearby shops and services where workers can transact digitally. Siyempre, kailangan pag digitize yung sweldo mo, magagamit mo rin siya sana sa mga pambilid sa supermarkets o sa palengke through digital or QR codes or even your digital wallet. Among our activities, we are also developing or documenting good practices of our enterprises. Yan po ay ilan sa mga aming dinodocument, mga enterprises sa iba-iba pong bahagi ng bansa, iba-iba pong negosyo, may restaurant, may eskwelahan, meron pong services. Nagde-develop rin po kami ng mga guides on how to transition to responsible digital wage payments. At ito na po, pasensya na po kung napahaba po ang ating paliwanag. Ito po lang po ang key points ng aking presentation ngayong araw. Digital payments are the future of payments everywhere because they are safer, more efficient, convenient, and more transparent. Digital wage payments have clear benefits but also challenges. It is important to digitize responsibly to ensure that the transition really benefits enterprises and workers, and that the collaboration between and among government, employers, workers, and other stakeholders are essential for success in wage digitization towards promoting MSME digitalization, advancing workers' empowerment, and achieving broader financial inclusion in the country. So yun lang po, marami pong salamat. Para po sa mga karagdagang impormasyon, kung gusto niyo pong mas marami pang malaman or makipag-ugnayan sa amin po, pwede po kayong mag-email sa digitalwages@ilo.org. Pumunta po sa aming website sa www.digitalwages.org, or kung gusto niyo po mong malaman ay iba pong mga ginagawa ng ILO tungkol sa social finance, pumunta po kayo sa www.ilo.org/socialfinance. Ilang po, marami pong salamat sa inyo.
Ayan, thank you very much, Sir Richard, for a very timely and informative discussion on responsible digital wage payment. I hope this has given both employers and workers and everybody watching us today a new perspective. Para po sa mga mag-i-implement ng digital wage payment, huwag po nating kakalimutan ang mga aspeto ng responsible digital wage payment na nabanggit ni Sir Richard. Dapat po may choice ang ating workers sa means of payment, accessible and secure ang pipiliin nating financial service, transparent and protected ang data privacy ng mga manggagawa, Fair opportunity and treatment dapat para sa lahat ng workers. And lastly, dapat merong social dialogue, available and ready ang infrastructure at capacitated po tayo to implement the digital payments. Ayan. So ngayon naman po, let us start answering the questions submitted para sa ating presentation. Maaari pa rin po kayong mag-submit ng questions through the comment section. Sir Richard, ito po ang ating unang question. Secure po ba ang digital wage payments sa Pilipinas?
Salamat, Aima. Salamat po sa tanong na ito. Alam naman po natin ngayon na marami pong mga scam na nangyayari o yung mga nagte-text sa ating mga cellphone kung sino-sino. Pero meron po tayong infrastructure and both policy and in terms of the hard infrastructure that make sure that secure po ang ating mga digital wage payment channels. Meron po kasing syempre supervision yan ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, ng Data Privacy Commission, a National Privacy Commission. And then, ang ano lang po dyan, yung ating po mga bangko, meron din silang mga kanya-kanyang mga security protocols put in place. Importante lang po na tayo, syempre kailangan nating tingnan kung yung po bang ating financial service provider ay compliant sa ating mga security or data privacy laws. Ganyan po. Syempre sa atin namang tayong mga tao, dapat din tayo ay nag-iingat. So dapat tayo rin, we also teach ourselves how to make sure that it is secure, na hindi po tayo maloloko or magfo-fall sa mga phishing, ganyan po. So marami pong paraan, nandiyan naman po ang ating infrastructure ng ating gobyerno, tulad din po ng DOLE, ng Bureau of Working Conditions, ng DTI, para po tayo ay tulungan and they're putting the infrastructure in place to make sure that digital wage payments is secure.
Ayan, thank you po. Second question po, paano po pag wala po kaming maayos na internet?
Ayun, tama po yan. Yan po ay isa sa ating mga concern. Totoo naman po yan. Iba-iba po kasi ang estado ng infrastructure natin sa internet sa Pilipinas. Alam naman po natin yan. Pero ngayon po ay sa kabutihang palad ay gumaganda na ito. Dumadami na rin ang ating mga provider, pati pa nilang mga serbisyo. Pag wala po kayong maayos na internet sa inyong pong lugar, pwede pa rin po kayong mag-digital wage payments, halimbawa through banks, of course, through ATMs or yung mga cash out agents, halimbawa. Kumbaga, yan po yung sinasabi ko na mga kombinasyon ng paraan ng pagdi-digitize ng wage payments. Kasi yun na nga po, iba-iba po ang sitwasyon sa iba-ibang bahagi ng Pilipinas. So kailangan po natin, kung ikaw yung enterprise, malaman mo ano ba yung mga option na available sa lugar natin. Marami bang ATM? Madali bang i-access yung ATM? Malapit ba? Ano ba yung mga bangko? Ano ba yung baka meron tayo dito mga startup na pwede nating i-tap for financial service provider na sila may maayos silang internet, ganyan. Kung ikaw naman ay worker, ikaw yung tatanggap, syempre kailangan mo ng internet, ng signal. Titingnan mo rin kung saan pwede or ano yung mga cash out agent na pwede mong puntahan, kung saan mo pwedeng tanggapin ang iyong sweldo. At mahalaga lang dyan, syempre, kailangan kasi mag-usap talaga yung employer at employee, yung enterprise owner at yung worker, para magkasundo o mapagkasundoan paano ito gagawin para pareho silang mapapabuti yung pag-implement ng digital wage payments, yung pagbibigay at yung pagtanggap.
Ayan po. Okay, sa ating third question naman po, are there case studies or examples of successful implementation of digital wage payment systems in the Philippines or similar contexts?
Sa Pilipinas naman po, I'm sure hindi naman po lingid sa inyong kaalaman na marami na pong mga nagdi-digitize ng kanilang wage payment. Karamihan po dyan, syempre yung mga medyo mas malalaki at mas may mga kaya mga kumpanya. Kasi ito rin ay nakakatulong sa kanilang mga tawag dito, sa kanilang mga negosyo, sa kanilang mga operations. So marami na pong halimbawa yan na pwede nating tingnan. Kami po sa ILO ay nagde-develop ng mga case study naman po ng mga micro and small para nga po maintindihan ng ating mga micro and small enterprises. Pero marami na po iyan. Hindi lang po siguro natin alam or hindi siya na ilalagay sa isang case study talaga na maaari natin pag-aralan. Pero marami na po yan kasi marami na pong providers din na nagbibigay ng kanilang serbisyo. Marami na po sa alang kumukuha. Yung mga kumpanya po natin sa Pilipinas, marami ring startup na nag-o-offer ng ganong service. So, sa ibang bansa naman po, meron po yan sa amin po, sa ILO, sa Indonesia, sa Peru, may mga ganyan po. Kung gusto niyo pong mas malaman ang mga ito, siguro po mag-iwan lang po kayo ng mga contact details para po mabigay ko po sa inyo kung saan niyo po ito pwedeng ma-access or mabasa.
Okay po. Pwede po ninyong i-send din sa comment section ang inyong mga details para po maibigay namin kay Sir Richard. Okay po, sir, ang next question po natin, mababawasan po ba ang salary namin kapag nag-withdraw sa bangko?
Okay, salamat po sa tanong na yan. Madalas po namin din ma-encounter ang tanong na yan during our training at sa aming mga meetings. Unang-una po, sa Pilipinas naman po, alam nyo naman po siguro, at least doon po sa inyo sa mga sumasweldo through bank transfer, kapag same bank po, normally, wala pa akong alam na iba, normally pag pareho po ang bank account ng inyong employer, sa inyo, wala po siyang bawas. Di ba po? Same bank withdrawal, has no even transaction fee or even the withdrawal fee. Pero pag iba po, meron po yung mga transaction fee at withdrawal fee. Alam niyo naman po yan, di ba? Pag naghalimbawa, ang card nyo ay sa isang halimbawa lang po, BPI, pero nag-withdraw kayo halimbawa sa ATM na hindi BPI, meron po siyang withdrawal fee. Ngayon po, as I said earlier, isa po sa mga nakasaad sa ating mga batas na dapat po ang sweldo ng inyong natatanggap ay buo, kumpleto at walang bawas. Maliban na lang po syempre doon sa inyong mga mandatory contribution na re-remit ng inyong employer na dapat syempre din ay tama at may record. So yan po ay aming tinututukan kasi syempre yung iba po, kasi po yung isang element nga po ng responsible digital wage payment ay choice. Pag iba po ang bangko ng inyong employer, pag nagdeposito sila doon sa inyong bank account na iba sa kanila, maaaring merong transaction fee na maaari na ipasa sa inyo or pasanin ng employer. So as much as possible, ang amin pong itutulak ay mawala po itong mga ganito para po sa pag-digitize ng sweldo. So kinakausap po namin ang Bangko Sentral, ang mga financial service provider, para po masigurado na buo po ang inyong salary kasi yun po ang tama. Yun naman pong ibang mga employer, syempre sila na po ang sumasalo nito para lang po ma-digitize ang pagbabayad ng sweldo. So again, ang emphasis po dito ay dapat tama sa batas at pangalawa, nag-uusap dapat ang employer at ang worker.
Ayan po. Thank you, sir. Ang panglimang question po natin, paano kapag wala akong bank account? Maisasali pa rin ba ako ng kumpanya?
Ang bank account po, linawin ko lang po, isa lang po yung paraan para po makatanggap ng wages digitally. Kung wala po kayong bank account, syempre mas maganda po, mayroon. Kasi yun talaga yung pinakamainaw na paraan para maging financially included kayo. Para magkaroon kayo ng halimbawa ng opportunity later on to access credit from the bank. Syempre magkakaroon kasi kayo ng mga transaction history with them. Tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, meron po tayong tinatawag na basic deposit account na minandato ng Bangko Sentral na i-offer ng lahat ng bangko sa Pilipinas. Iba-iba po ang tawag dyan, depende sa bangko. Simple lang po ang mga requirement niyan at wala pong dormancy fee, walang maintaining fee. Ang opening account can be less than 100 peso. May limitation lang po yan. I think 50,000 yung maximum amount. Hindi na po siya pwedeng maging basic deposit account pag mas malaki doon. So yun po, pwede niyo po siyang i-explore and I encourage you to do that. Pero kung wala kayong bank account, pwede pa rin naman po kayong maisalis ng inyong kumpanya. Kasi yung ibang kumpanya na nakausap namin, halimbawa, yung iba may bank account, yung iba gusto nila tanggapin sa kanilang mobile money account. So kumbaga parang hybrid yung kanilang digital payment at okay lang sa employer. Kasi at the end of the day po, simple pa rin sa kanila yon at mas efficient. So pwede po iyon. And again, mahalaga po na mag-usap ang employer at worker para klaro kung paano ito gagawin at gawin ng tama, ng maayos at para sa ikabubuti ng parehong partido.
Ayan po. Okay, sir. Ang next question naman po natin, paano makakasiguro ang mga employer na protektado sila against fraud and cyber threats?
Okay, salamat po sa tanong na yan. Meron po yung kinalaman syempre again sa security at protection and of course privacy na rin ng data. Unang-una, syempre kailangan as tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, kailangan po tiyakin ninyo na ang inyong financial service provider at even ang payroll service provider ninyo kung meron ay compliant sa ating mga batas. They implement data privacy protocols in place. They comply with the law. And syempre kayo din, kailangan alam nyo din kung ano ba dapat yung kanilang sinusunod na mga polisiya. Dapat ang mga employer, syempre kayo din, you also educate yourself, kumbaga. Kasi tulad nga na sinasabi natin, mahalaga rin ang role natin, bawat isa sa atin. Kasi nandyan yung mga fraudster, kumbaga, hindi natin sila makokontrol. Ang makokontrol talaga natin ay ang ating reaksyon sa ginagawa nila. Halimbawa, makatanggap kayo ng text na hindi nyo alam, sinasabi na i-reset nyo daw ang inyong account sa bangko na ito, pero wala naman kayo account sa bangko na iyon, di ba? So, i-ignore nyo na lang, huwag nyo pansinin or delete yung message. So, mahalaga na you capacitate yourself digitally and financially para alam nyo rin kung hindi nyo kailangan ibigay yung OTP kung may mga naghihingi na ganyan. So, kailangan po nating, kumbaga, pag-aralan, i-educate ang ating mga sarili. Hindi naman po yan mahirap. Madali po iyan at kung kailangan nyo, again, ng tulong, nandiyan po ang DOLE, ang DTI at BSP at kami rin po para magbigay ng tulong kung paano po ito may iwasan. Syempre, yung cyber threat, baka mas malaki iyan. Nandiyan naman po ang DICT and they keep ensuring that our cyber infrastructure is safe and secure. Meron po tayo ngayong batas, halimbawa na on Financial Consumer Services and Production Act. It's another policy put in place by our government to make sure that we have recourse mechanisms. Pag may mga naloko po sa atin, saan natin sila pwedeng ireklamo, may mga mekanismo na po in place. So, kailangan po natin itong malaman, maintindihan.
Very well said po, sir. Okay po, ang next question po natin, maliit lamang po ang kumpanyang pinagtatrabahuhan ko. Paano ko po makukumbinsi ang aking employer na mag-digital wage payment na?
Ayun, maganda pong tanong yan. I suppose galing po yan sa isang manggagawa. Ang abi po talagang ine-emphasize is magkaroon ng dialogue between employer and worker. Alam naman po natin na of course yung pagpapasweldo, decision po iyan ng employer. Pero kung maliit lang yan, siguro meron naman pong puwang or opportunity para kausapin ang inyong boss o ang inyong supervisor para ito ay ma-accommodate nila or magawa ng paraan. Siguro kung kayo ay nahihirapan, pwede rin kayong makipag-ugnayan sa inyong mga kasamahan, mag-meeting kayo ng maayos at mahinahon syempre para kumbaga lahat kayo siguro pwedeng mag-convince mo sa isa, mag-usap-usap and i-approach nyo as a group yung inyong employer at again, pag-usapan at kumbinsin sila na mas madali, mas ligtas at mas maayos kung gagawing digital na ang inyong pagpapasweldo. So, siguro naman po yung mga employer ninyo at the minimum pakikinggan kayo. Syempre, ang best case scenario ay talagang makukumbinsi nyo sila at sila naman ay hindi mahihirapang makumbinsi at mag-uusap kayo at magta-transition na kayo to digital wage payments.
Ayan, importante po talaga ang pinag-uusapan ang mga bagay-bagay. Last question na po ata ito, sir. Bakit po kahit may security system, nagkakaroon pa rin po ng problem?
Okay, yan po ay isang technical question. At totoo naman po yan na nangyayari po yan So siguro maganda na magkaroon kayo ng audit ng inyong system in place. Siguro kung hindi naman kayo maalam sa mga ganyang bagay, humingi kayo ng tulong sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno. Siguro pumunta kayo, pwede rin kayo sa inyong LGU, baka sila din ay may maibigay na tulong. Kasi yung mga ibang LGU natin sa Pilipinas, active din sila sa digitalization. So may alam din sila kung paano i-check ang inyong mga system, ano dapat ang nakalagay para ma-ensure na ito ay wasto, safe, and secure. So wag ho tayong mahiyang humingi ng tulong. Ang importante lang po ay we do our part in ensuring that of course our systems are secure, and we research and we ask for help. Minsan, di ba, mag-ano lang kayo, lalapit kayo sa inyong halimbawa, mga tao sa community, baka meron dyan, or even kung may kinalaman naman yan sa inyong financial service provider, ideally, dapat meron silang mekanismo para dyan. Kasi alam naman po natin siguro na no system is perfect. We keep on perfecting it. So kahit sa tingin nyo ngayon ay okay ang sistema nyo, kailangan may regular review din po yan para ma-ensure na secure pa rin siya. Kasi ang mga threats din po nag-e-evolve eh. So importante rin na over time, regularly, chine-check po ito.
Ayan, maraming salamat Sir Richard. And maraming salamat po sa lahat ng nag-submit ng kanilang questions. Kung meron pa po kaming hindi nasasagot ngayon, rest assured po na ang aming social media team ay sasagutin ang inyong inquiries later. Maraming salamat po ulit. Further announcements lang po. The Bureau of Working Conditions will be conducting the webinar Wednesdays, episode 14 on May 22, 2024. The topic for the next episode is about heat stress in the workplace. Abangan po natin yan. And that concludes our webinar for today. Maraming salamat po muli sa inyong pagsama sa amin. If you have further questions po, you may send us an email through ask@bwc.dole.gov.ph or you may call the DOLE hotline 1349. Also, please follow our Facebook page, BWC 1949, para maging updated kayo sa iba't ibang issuances, announcements, and activities na ilalabas ng BWC at ng DOLE. Again, ako po si Aima Fibaola, your moderator for this program, and on behalf of the Bureau of Working Conditions, thank you for joining us today. See you again next episode po. Ingat po!
Para sa mga katanungan at karagdagang impormasyon, maaari po tayong tumawag sa DOLE Hotline 1349 o sumangguni sa mga DOLE Regional o Field Office na nakakasakop sa inyong lugar paggawa.